Yeah, you like that, don't you? Pretty good, huh? Alright, it's the next day. It's a little brighter out, so hopefully we can see what's going on underneath the car when we're dealing with this steering rack. Couple thoughts right off the bat. The steering column that connects to the actual steering wheel, that may hinder my ability to actually move the steering rack down so I can adjust those fittings, but you know, we'll see. Second concern is the fitting that goes in the back there that I'm concerned about is right next to the engine mount. So I believe that goes to either the power steering pump or something, I don't remember. But that fitting's pretty tight, so I may have to loosen it up a little bit so that I can maneuver the... Hold on. It's one of these 180 degree, 120, one of those. This is an angled fitting, and right here where the actual hose screws in is pretty tight, so I'm going to have to undo this in order to get it to rotate, because it rotates right here, and then that's going to help me be able to move it around, reposition it, etc. What I may end up doing is replacing it with one of these so that I can position it better. My only concern is that the banjo fitting right here is there, and then getting this off is going to be a pain, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. We're going to see what we're up against when we're in the car, and just take it slow today, really. Not much else I can do. I do need to go to the store and get some battery parts, and also my shifter is pretty wobbly inside to the shaft, and then there's like a sleeve that connects to the shift rod, and then the shifter's like this, so when it rotates, like my arm is the rod that, imagine here's the transaxle, so when it shifts it moves like that, and then it just kind of moves back and forth. But this shaft that's connected to the shift lever is super wobbly, because over time that metal just deteriorates and grinds off, so it's super wobbly instead of being really thick. So I've read online some forums, and apparently what guys do is take like a brass sleeve, and then they take this out, and then they drill out the actual shift arm that goes to the transaxle, and then they press in that brass sleeve, and then it's all better. So I'm going to do some research on that, maybe buy some parts tonight, and then I'll put that in one of my videos eventually, but hopefully that should help with the sloppy left to right shifting that I've basically always had with this car. See what happens. Another idea I had was, instead of using this 180, I'll use this straight 0 degree. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, jeez, she's still dripping? Good lord. Freaking translude all over my beautiful oil pan. Man. I don't know. This thing has always dripped fluids. I hope with this new engine it would at least calm down a little bit. Clean off this fitting a little bit. So here's what we're dealing with. As you can see up here, it hits pretty hard up there. on basically everything. And the rack's been moved, so you can't really see it, but this is what we're working with. Tell you what, I'm gonna figure this out, and then I'll report back when I figure out what I'm gonna do. Alright, so here's what's up. This is the fitting that I had on the power steering rack. Right, come on, focus Curly. So what was happening was this banjo fitting right here wasn't tight enough inside the actual AN fitting. I know my fitting, they're all marred up and stuff, but hey, it's tough to get these tight, okay? And apparently this is supposed to swivel like this, and you know, we'll see how it fits when I put it on there. I may have to run this hose differently because as of now it was going behind or in front of this FPR and then along the heater hose, and so I may just run it down below underneath there. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. Update. Basically spent like 2 hours for no progress. I figured out that the straight and 180 degree fittings they were hitting on the engine mount and the friggin' the block itself. It was just a nightmare. So I put that curved bent fitting back on and just hammered it nice and tight. So I don't think it'll be leaking anymore. Hope not, at least. So got that done, and now that that's done, that pretty much finishes up the engine bay for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to wiring. I'm going to put the thermal switch wire clips on here. I'm going to get those from inside because they're still attached to the controller. I'm going to get those on, and then I'm going to get the power wires on for the controller. I'm going to splice those onto this stuff right here, and then probably clip it, run it in through somewhere. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But, yeah, we're also going to start cleaning up the interior today. I'm probably just going to time-lapse this video since I've got a full battery. I'll just leave you guys back here for a little bit. Yeah, that's good for now. Okay, cool. I'm gonna paint this black. I'm painting the carpet because I'm a lazy piece of shit and I don't give a f, and who cares? I'm not gonna sell it as long as it looks good. So don't worry about it. Here's my electric air conditioning compressor controller. I've got these two friggin' leads off here, and I do need to strip the ends, but before that I'm going to finish up front first and then work my way backwards. So we've got to take these two off and then strip the ends, crimp, heat shrink, and then do it all over again. So let's do that. Okay, let's go up front inside the engine bay, and we can do that first, and then we'll work our way back inside. Now, I know I'm not the best at electronics, but I do have a good amount of experience, I'd say. At least halfway know what I'm doing when it comes to this kind of stuff, so, you know, I wouldn't say it's a huge deal if any of this stuff doesn't go right. But, you know what? Screw it. So to do this thick stuff, I'm just going to take my knife and then kind of twist the wire while keeping pressure on the blade side with my thumb, sort of like this. And then eventually there'll be a line that forms of cut plastic that goes all the way around. And then you can just clean it up a little bit, and then with some persuasion, right off, just like that. And then you just want to like twist this and kind of get all the spare frays off, because this is fairly soft wire. I believe it's aluminum. It's actually like audio speaker wire, 8 gauge. So they want a pretty good coefficient of electric conduction, so they use aluminum instead of copper because it's lighter, and I guess, I don't really know why, but for big stuff I guess they use aluminum because it's lighter, but for this little stuff this is copper. See, like, I'll cut this open real quick. Yeah, see, that's copper. Because it's smaller, it's lighter, so it can be copper. It's no big deal. Now here, I have heat shrink and these awesome non-insulated crimp connectors. So we'll just take our regular old lineman's pliers and stick the crimp in there and crimp it right down. I'm not going to use those because those are pretty stiff. Now for this big stuff, I didn't have any crimps that were big enough to go around the 8 gauge wire. So I actually had to buy like 8 individual 8 gauge crimps that would fit over this, because that's what I could get. So I've got 3 more for the motor control, and unfortunately I only have 2. I need 2 more. Shit. Guess I didn't think of that. Because we split the wire, and we split 2 of these. We split both about the ground and the 12 volt positive. And if you want to cut wire, you kind of need 2 crimps. Yeah, I screwed up, but that's okay. We'll get what we can done today, and then we'll follow up and finish it off later. I'll just have to buy more crimps, I guess, or figure something out. I'm not sure. Well, like I said, we'll figure it out. So for these, pretty simple. I mean, we've already twisted it, so it looks like it'll go in there just fine. And it does. And these crimps have like a little indent on the on one side, and that indent right there, that just keeps the wire from going through all the way, and it gives it contacts to push on. But in turn, you have to push pretty hard to get it in there. So you just push a little bit, and then it kind of conforms around, and then you know you have a little spot to that the wires will connect when you put the other side in. So get that in there, and then what I like to do is I like to do the ends first, right up close to the edge of the wire. Get that nice and tight on there, and then what I like to do afterwards is, so you have that indent right there. After I got that, I like to go again sideways on it, and then just bring those ears in on themselves. Sort of like that. Kind of gives a little bit tighter of a connection. You can do it however which way you want, but I mean that's not coming off, so whatever works, I guess. I am going to do the ground, and then I'll hook it up to the wires that I have already pre-cut, and then we'll just see. Well, actually I may just do one end and then see how far I can get with it, and then I may just have to buy some more wire and crimps, but it's okay. It's no big deal. I know, I should have gotten red wire for the hot. Don't at me, bro. I like to try to get all the strands inside the crimp, because in the event that the heat shrink around the crimp fails, you don't want stray conductor out there just, you know, shorting ground and causing fires, etc., you know. So I like to try to get every single little strand inside the conductor, even if I have to like you know, spend 40 hours doing it. Well, not necessarily 40. At that point, I'm going to just cut a new section, but usually I'll spin it a little bit just to get it started along, you know, I'll spin it in the same direction that I've already twisted the wire, and then I'll just keep spinning it in the direction that I twisted the wire inside the crimp. And then after that is right towards, or I should say, right next to the base of the insulation. Kind of grab it like that. And then it doesn't really matter on which side you do this, but boom. Alright, so update. We have the motor wires hooked up. I made sure those are the correct ones. I had to pull and yank and figure out where they came out and which ones were which. So we got those hooked up. We got the power wire and the ground wire hooked up in there, right to the original ground spot for one of the old ground wires for the AC system. So that's hooked up, and then the power wire goes out through one of the, I think it's the high pressure line hose right here, that goes out and around. It's in the battery tray. So what we're going to do next is we're going to bring in the center console unit and the 12 volt power supply, and we're going to get this footwell flap all calibrated so we can hot glue in that last servo all the way in there, and then my HVAC system will be pretty well set. And the last thing I need to do is get those red AC switch wires run and hooked up, and that will go to my center console because I'll have a switch in right here, and that will turn on and off the AC. In the future I will have a small relay that's hooked up to the slider to determine whether it's on cold or hot, and that will automatically flip the AC switch on. So we're going to get that done, and I think that will be it for now until we find out more stuff to do, and probably that's going to be continuing the interior build. Right now we just have this front head section on. It looks pretty good from when I wrapped it this winter. Got one of these visors on here, so that's kind of I need to figure out why or where the old screws are for that. They don't fit perfect right where the A-pillars sit, but the A-pillars look okay, so I'm going to leave those the way they are. That one actually looks a lot better than the driver's side one. So yeah, I got a brown plug. I'm going to have to paint that black. That's no big deal. We'll get the other visor on, and yeah, that will be pretty much it for up front. I still need to redo this. It's like a plastic part, but it's not. It's almost like rubber, and it kind of sits up here. And this is kind of like the wrong one, but whatever. Yeah, this kind of sits up here like that. Then I need to get some adhesive and get this back on there, but that shouldn't take too long. I actually think it's this one. How does that go on there? It goes on like this. Yeah. Yeah, so this part sits up in there. I just need to get more adhesive so it can sit in there nicely, but that should match pretty well with my current black scheme. And then I'll take this sunroof part out and I'll wrap that on its own. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this. I'm probably just going to, yeah, I'm going to have to get some vinyl and wrap that individually, but that's no big deal. I mean, like I said, getting this running is the main objective, and looking nice is secondary. So we'll get that going, and then we'll see what happens.